Alright, so I think this is episode 11. So this is Redemptor, MAP01. So this is actually my real first, what is it? My real first classic themed Doom SnapMap. I have made like, what is it? 3 dimensions, and there was kind of like a part where I did use like classic graphics and all that stuff. But I remember I wasn't really like too into using them. But eventually I got bored of using so many of the modern graphics and modern objects. I decided to play around with like the classic textures. And I think yeah, I believe Frag like it's 1994 came out before this map. So basically when Void Runner was doing his part, I actually kind of like use this map as like a training ground. Basically, I remember where is it? Where's the first area? No, this is not it. Yeah, I remember I was pretty much like building this part right here while like Void Runner was building his parts. And yeah, I feel like this map it was definitely like a really good map for me to use as like a sense of practice to make sure Frag like it's 1994 would end up being really good. But that's not to say like Redemptor map 1 is a bad map. I'm definitely really proud of this map, especially for like my very first classic theme map. I think this is definitely like a really good first map for someone that never really made like a full on classic themed map. So I guess I could talk about what is it? Let's talk a little bit about like the skill level system here. So I'm really proud of what I did with Decipher, and I always really love like the original Quake and how they kind of like had this little level where you could choose like your own difficulty settings and stuff. And I basically wanted to take advantage of that. Originally, it was like Decipher where players could actually choose whatever difficulties they want. But I'm really proud of like the system that I did with Secluded, where only the host can choose like which difficulty setting it is. I think it kind of makes sense because I think it's a little bit weird when there's players playing like a normal difficulty and then there's like a player playing on the harder difficulty setting. So on standard, oh, I forgot. I always forget to do that thing. Basically, on standard difficulty, I actually increase the damage a bit for the player. So, if you're kind of like a really reckless player, it does kind of reward you to play it that way. And then you got like the ammo drops, health drops, all that stuff. And you have double health, so 200 health. And I think Redemptor is probably easier to play on normal difficulty compared to Decipher. At least like maybe like in the early levels. But yeah, I think standard difficulty it pretty much feels reasonable with like, my 250 damage settings. I really wish I could um what is it? I wish I could like figure out how to like consistently make the enemies have 100% damage to 250% damage, but I've been playing around with like a lot of different type of systems of logics and it just doesn't work. It's so horribly inconsistent. Like there's moments where it does work and when it works it's awesome, but then there's moments where like the enemy AI they kind of have like both 250% damage and 100% damage, and then sometimes it's kind of like one-sided. It's just really weird. I think it's probably like a SnapMap glitch when your network is too high and all of that stuff. For example, like um the sound effects. I remember when I was making Frag like it's 1984, I tried to use like the teleporter sound effect, like the classic teleporter sound effect. It wouldn't work, and I think Void Runner told me it's because like if the network's too high, then like it just wouldn't work. So yeah, that's just kind of like a SnapMap thing. It really sucks that there are like these stupid glitches that can like interfere some of like your creative process, but there's always kind of like other ways around it. And I feel like what I did with like the normal difficulty, I'm really proud of what I did. In hardcore difficulty, you pretty much have 100 health, so that 250% damage is really gonna hurt, and your damage is pretty much the same. So I mean, it's pretty much like default, so it's 100% damage. So this area right here, this is the area that I was building when Void Runner was building his parts, I decided to kind of like, I don't know, I think go for like a more hellish area here. Because I knew like I wanted this like campaign to be predominantly have like a hellish theme to it rather than like what Void Runner did with this tech based series. And I'm kind of proud of like this area. I've always kind of liked this texture and all of that. And I think this looks really good for like someone who didn't really have much like classic Doom experience. And not only that, while Void Runner was working on his part, I was playing like a lot of megawatts too, just to like get more source of inspiration. And the main reason why there's a lot of blocking boxes here is because invisible barriers. I'm always like scared of the pinkies. I really hate like the physics in this. I don't know if it's the same in campaign, but in SnapMap, the physics of the pinkies are so stupid. I hate it, like how you could just fly like all the way up on top of the map. Like you can totally break it. It's just so frustrating as a custom geo mapper. I've always really liked it, this little area here. Very heavy on like the marble textures. And another thing is, I remember I tried my best to not like reuse ideas that I did for this map for Frag like it's 1994, and I I think I did that because I remember like there were moments where I'm like, oh wow, dude, this is a cool idea for this map, but I'm like, you know what, I should try to like save that idea for Frag like it's 1994 because I really wanted both Frag like it's 1994 and my first classic Doom campaign to really be good and all that stuff and kind of have their own personalities, all of that stuff. Because every map that I make, needs to be like done with quality, and not only that, I kind of want them to like feel different at the same time. Even though it's so difficult to like really create maps that feel very distinctive compared to like my previous work. Because I've made so many maps, and not only that, you know the grid module it has like a lot of limitations and stuff, like it's not big enough, and I do kind of like avoid using like higher variations and stuff because I really like having the AI being like 100% workable rather than like 50% workable. And all right, where was I? Okay, so basically in that little marble base that you go in, you pretty much go in this little teleporter here. Decided to throw in a little bit more of like the hellish type of textures here, and basically it's just like a little switch. Wait, where is it? So there's like a little switch here, and once you go back out, you're gonna get ambushed with a couple. I mean, yeah, with some like enemies in here and there. But if you look right here, there's actually a very hidden skull switch, and I don't know if anybody actually. Yeah, I've seen people like figure out this secret before. But yeah, basically, it'll open up this door, and outside you can get the chain gun. And this entire area is actually a homage to E1M2 because I always just love like that one secret where you get the chain gun, and not only that, you get to like go outside of like the map too. I always thought that was really cool, and this is pretty much like the same thing. Yeah, I really love E1M2. Such a great map. Alright, so what else can I talk about? I've always really so one thing that I kind of like recognize with a lot of like the megawatts is that I always love seeing how the mappers kind of create their own objects, but not only that, they create their own objects in like very like simple ways too. Like they don't really go like too over the top, and I kind of wanted to like do the same thing too. Just keep it simple, but at the same time try to make it look attractive enough. And I think that's pretty much it for like this little marble area. There's like a bunch of secrets here, but I'm not gonna give away completely. You want to learn the secrets, just pretty much look in the map editor. I don't really mind like people looking up in the map editor to learn the secrets or playing them. It's just really up to you. So right here. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. So another thing about this campaign is that I definitely wanted this campaign to be really intense and challenging. Like, what is it? This is the first level, and this is like your first Mancubus. It's pretty quick, and I mean, it's very like early on in the level, just kind of like how in Plutonia, you eventually like fight a lot of the tough monsters right off the bat in the first map, like the Revenant and Archvile. Oh man, my voice is definitely killing me right now. But yeah, this is pretty much the cave area. Unfortunately, it's very dark because it's the Elgato. But I decided to add like a little bit of a cave area, lots of like exploration. I always love trying to make the player explore for stuff because I've always loved it like classic Doom level design. In my opinion, it's really like the best. Um, yeah, I think it's probably like the best level design that a first-person shooter can adopt. And not only that, for Doom 2064, it definitely works too. And that's kind of like one of the things that I was a little bit disappointed with Doom 64 map design. While I did like how there's like a lot of like that sense of exploration and all that stuff, but it kind of didn't feel the same like classic Doom. And yeah, that was kind of a letdown. So, one of the great things with SnapMap is that I can pretty much try to like make levels that feel very similar to, Doom 1 or Doom 2. So this is the city portion type of area. I've always loved making city levels, like I said. I love that huge sense of exploration, and there's definitely a lot to explore here, but this part is actually very intense too. There's like some really crazy fights. But I personally love this fight. I think this is probably one of my favorite fights in this entire map. Got a lot more invisible barriers. That's kind of like the problem with like city maps here. And not only that, I do kind of like allow double jumping, and I do want players to like grab on objects. I always have to like try to purposely break my map to see like which area players can jump on. So yeah, basically I could throw in like the invisible barriers and prevent that issue. So just like what I said about like the objects, I've always liked it how a lot of like the megawatt guys, they make their own objects by just using like a lot of simple textures, just kind of like simple architecture, and I pretty much do the same thing here too. What else can I say? There's really not much I can say about this area. Like, I've made so many like city themed type of levels, and I don't know if I still have any more like ideas for them because I've used like, I've made so many of them, and it's just kind of crazy that I'm still able to like pull off these type of levels. And